Yeah, I want to go
Jerome.
deeper too, and it's you mentioned earlier as far as marriage, the contract of it, and see that's where we kind of.
It's business.
We kind of but that's where we kind of lose sight of it, because when you go deeper on it, marriage is not a contract; it's a covenant. You know, and when you look at it, the institution.
Here comes the religion.
There you go. The institution of marriage was established before. It was the first really institution that was established by God. It was the covenant between man, wife, and God. So when you take God out of the equation,
you telling me there was a marriage ceremony in Genesis? Because I missed that.
Oh, you did miss it.
Yeah, go deeper.
And there were a few other things in Genesis before marriage, like the concept of days.
Right. It was
so the first agreement was not marriage.
No, I said the first institution.
He said the first institution.
A day is not an institution.
Well, I still think an institutionalized mind is a stagnant mind. I believe that.
Well, we can get caught on semantics, but you got to understand within that marriage covenant, it was God, it was the man and his wife, and so when we make it a contract, then you are going to lose sight. But when you understand that marriage is a covenant and it's not something you just do just because everybody else is doing it, then you make sure that you're prepared physically, mentally, spiritually, that you guys are on the same page, man, because this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, it's a lifelong journey.
Great point.
Most guys get into it, they thinking it's a sprint, and then when they get past the 100-yard dash, they don't realize they got 26 more miles to go. They signed up for the wrong event.
That's true.
You ran track, you know that.
Right.
You don't sign up for a sprint when you're in a marathon, because you're going to lose every time. It's a whole mental
it sounds
shift
good.
on it.
It sounds good.
But so, as a mature man,
it does make sense. I didn't say it didn't make sense. It just sounds good.
As a mature man, if the most mature thing I can do is get married, and I got to be ready for that. It's not for a little kid. It's not for the faint of heart. It takes courage, because it's going to be work, and it takes stamina.
Well, it takes
just
courage.
Like any sport that we play, dude. You had to be ready.
But at the same time,
be ready to play and win the game. I'm not going to lose this game of marriage, because I've never been a quitter and I've never been a loser. I'm making sure I'm prepared to get into it to win.
Right.
And I'm making sure that
I agree with that.
Is on the same page with me.
How often in America, whether you have a married couple or not, how often do you find accountable people there?
And see, I love what Mark said, because accountability is huge. But then also what Jeff said, you got to cultivate the relationship. Let me break it down for us personally, because we wrote our book, How to Make Your Marriage Last Longer Than a Wedding, because we've been married 26 years, and we've cultivated our relationship for 26 years.
Right.
Okay? We have our date night. We take our quarterly getaways where we leave the kids, and she and I, we just go get together, hang out, get us a hotel, whether it's across the street. Me and my baby, we get across the street, and we hang out without the kids, without the interference. We do that every quarter of the year for 26 years. We've attended marriage seminars. Every year we've attended a marriage seminar or marriage retreat. Our couples get together just to keep everything in perspective. You gotta cultivate what you're doing.
So that's a great point. That's a great point, Jerome. This is what I'm going to do. We're going to take a quick break, but when
And on this side of the studio, the two of your relationship, I think this is real special. And you tell me whether it's true. I think the magic between the two of you is, Jerome, you respect her and she admires you.
Wow.
And you both accept each other, but respect and admiration are not the same. But as I'm looking at the two of you, that's what I see is you really respect her, that she's got both your backs, and she'll stand up for that, and you respect that. And I could see that she admires you greatly, and so there's this great sense of appreciation, but it's not exactly appreciating each other for the same thing. But that's does any of that fit what I just said?
That fits absolutely, Mark, and we've always been a team, and Tracy's right. I have a lot of ideas. Tracy's the dot the I's and cross the T's.
See?
And I love that. And Brother Zoe, you said it. But then look at this. I want to comment on what Brother Jeff said. Now, I met Tracy in the 8th grade. I didn't say we dated in the 8th grade. I said I met her in the 8th grade in English class. I mean, who dates in the 8th grade?
Y'all were together. You know how it works. You check the box.
Hi, Tracy.
Right here.
I'm going to be your husband. Just do your homework and everything will go.
But then we did start dating in the 10th grade. And we were just driving the other day, and I told her this. It's a lot of pretty girls. We grew up in L.A., and so
dime a dozen.
A lot of pretty girls. But I knew I was looking for attitude. So, Jeff, just like the woman knows and she can turn it off, the man knows what he's looking for.
Absolutely.
And he tries to turn it off because she looks fine or she's this, that. No, she got a stank attitude. No, she ain't right, but she's going to be my girl. I told her. I bypassed a lot of girls because the attitude, because something I saw that wasn't for me. But with Tracy, I'm like, this is a cool young lady. This can be my girl. And that's when we started dating. We dated. So we
You
dated.
saw peace, bro.
Exactly, and that's what you
Saw
want.
peace.
But see, I didn't ignore it. I didn't ignore it so I can get a piece.
Yes, when you get grown. Yeah, that's what I'm about to
Break
say.
it down.
When you get grown.
That's good.
But see, that's a grown man thing. I will take some piece over a piece any day. When you get the right woman in the right place and you look for the right things, that's who you're supposed to marry.
And those are principles that we put as Zoe called us the marriage architect. And in our book, How to Make Your Marriage Last Longer Than the Wedding. Those are the principles we put in. So if you're single, if you're married, and you want to get to that point, you can do it. Marriage is a beautiful thing when it's done right. And we just haven't been taught. We've been taught how to drive a car. We've been taught how to build a house. We've been taught how to do everything. But nobody sits you down and tells you it's a right way that you can build your marriage, that it will last, and it can be all that you want to be, and it does not have to end in divorce and heartbreak and tear up your kids.
Well,
you can't replace a walk, a talk. I mean, if more couples did that, whether you're growing apart, and you don't necessarily grow apart because you're always sharing, so you're always together, even though things change. And as Jeff alluded to it earlier, you cultivate. Even as you're growing apart, you cultivate the relationship that you have. So because we're different, we could spend a whole nother show on male-female differences just for that alone. So, but even as you're
Jerome,
growing
really
apart-
quickly, Jerome,
Yes, sir.
isn't cultivation a learned skill? And this is something that maybe we have to do another show where we come back and say, this is how you learn how to cultivate.
Absolutely. And as I said, even just a whole show on male-female differences, because it's always different between male and female because we are different and we think differently. Our needs are different. But so as we're going and we might be going in different directions, when you cultivate it, you still stay together.
You know, there's a saying, and I
It's
think,
not a deal breaker to go in different directions
Right.
when you're
we
cultivating it.
Right.
in regard to cultivating, there's a saying that in matters of the world, stay in control, but in matters of the heart, give it up.
right.
And I think as long as you're controlling, you can't cultivate. And I think
Exactly.
cultivating is creating a space in which you both give up control, lean into the faith and trust of something where 1 + 1 = infinity.
Right, and
Wow.
it makes you vulnerable. But that's why, as Jasmine said, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak. It takes a lot of courage because it makes you put yourself in a vulnerable relationship, in a vulnerable position when you're married. And I embrace that.
How many people are lying to themselves, trying to make their relationship happen when they're not in alignment with the desires they're broadcasting outward?
And I agree with you, Zoe. I mean, I'm in addition to a poet and all that other kind of stuff, I write quotes, and one of my quotes is "Live in truth." You know, but then also if you tell a lie long enough, you will start to believe it. So you have to be careful about living in truth. But that's why on our website, marriageoverwedding.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, like us, marriageoverwedding.com, or follow us on Twitter, marriageoverwed, WED, on Twitter. But we talk about these things, and the marriage architect, the blueprint, is there a way that you can actually do it? And I've been taught that it's hard to go somewhere, to take somebody where you haven't been. So you got a lot of people talking about it, but nobody living it. So that's what makes us so unique and so special, is we're actually living it. You know, we're practicing it every day. And so we can show people how to get there. It's just like when we play ball as men, we understand that. You had to have somebody who was better than you teaching you so you could get better.
You had to play up.
You had to play up. So we understand that. So if someone's trying to tell you how to be married and stay married and they've never been married, then
No.
I
don't agree with that.
I'm saying you can't receive instruction from them, but I'm saying it's a whole lot better when you have somebody who's been there where you're trying to go. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't receive from them, but you need someone. It's much more helpful when you have somebody taking you where you're trying to go.
Yes, and I agree.
So what I see a lot in relationships these days is competition.
Wow, go in. Please go
That will
in.
definitely give you conflict in your relationship. I'm better than you. I look better than you. I can do this better than you. I can run faster than you. I can cook better
My
than you.
family's better than your family.
Exactly.
Right.
My family's wonderful and yours is just a
Right.
bunch of fools.
Right.
And it's like, how in the world can you be on the same team and then be in competition with each other?
Wow.
That's opposite of each other.
True.
Wow.
You should be on the same team. It should be us against our families if you want to do that.
Right. And do you guys have a fence outside your relationship that borders the relationship, like just imagine a big ass yard, right? That the family and all them is on the outside of the fence.
And you establish that right in the beginning of your relationship.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of we're going to always go over your mom's house. We're going to always go over your family's house. Your family's going to come over here.
Right.
And we're going to have Christmas or Thanksgiving at our house. If they want to come, that's fine. If they don't, that's on them.
Okay.
And Jeff, let me say.
Then back to you, Jeff. Go ahead.
Let me say, and not only that, within those boundaries and within the fence, if my mom or my family does something, it's not my wife's job to go and tell them, hey, y'all tripping in our household. Since it's my family, I go and say, hey, look, Mom, Dad, when my dad was alive, look, my wife and I, we got this. We handling it. We don't need this, that, the other. I speak to my family. She speaks to her family. So they don't become, well, your husband's tripping on us or my wife's tripping on them. I always have my wife's back. So if it's something that goes down with my family, my brothers, my sister, I speak to my family. Y'all need to chill. Y'all need to kick back. This is coming from Big Brother. So we put those limits, we put those boundaries there, so no one crosses them. And if I do have to cross them, I'll talk to my family. She talks to her family. But I just want to add really quick to your what makes marriage difficult.
You don't want to do it quick, Byron Scott.
You don't. You're not quick, Byron.
You just want to do it.
We've already stereotyped you. Okay, there's a lot of wind in your sails.
I'm gonna make this.
Exactly. Go ahead.
I'm gonna make this 3-pointer at the end of the third quarter now. But it's priorities. What makes it difficult is priorities. When my priorities are out of whack and my marriage is not a priority, then everything takes precedence.
Everything else falls that way.
That's good. That is a 3-pointer.
I got to go hang out with the boys. I got to go make this business trip. I got to go do this. But the kids need me. The wife needs. But they're not a priority. That's what makes it difficult.
Great.